Hello folks, and welcome to another shocking edition of the 50-Cent Tour. I'm with some good friends and soon to be better friends, some new friends today. This is Brian James and Gerald Bryson with the TWRA. And Brian, tell the folks what we're going to do today.
Well, we're going to do a little electra-fishing this morning. This is one of our sampling techniques that we use every year along with some of the others to sample mainly largemouth and crappie in the spring of the year.
Now, you say electra-fishing, that means without rods and reels. Be a little more specific.
That's correct. What we do is we put a electricity current in the water and it stuns the fish and floats them to the surface where we can net them, and then we'll take lengths and weights, scale samples, and then we release them back in the water.
You gotta love it, folks. It's all coming up here next on the 50-Cent Tour. You start this.
We're just going to put our rig together here, and all it is consists of some fiberglass boom poles that stick out the front of the boat, and then a cross member, and each one of these have a drop cable that sticks in the water. And this is all wired back to the generator. Sort of a strange looking creature, but the current out of the generator is run through a pulsator box, and it converts the current coming from the generator from AC into DC. That's what we converted over to about 4 years ago. Instead of using straight AC, we've gone to the DC current. Seems to increase our sampling rate per hour and a little bit easier on the fish. So.
Now, what does the current actually do to the fish, Brian?
It just stuns them temporarily, and the DC current pulls the fish in towards the electrodes, and it just floats them to the surface, and we dip net them. We get 20 or 30 in a live well, and we'll stop and take our lengths and weights, and if we're doing age and growth studies, we'll take scale samples. And then a couple of minutes, they're ready to go back. So. These are cables, and this is the only part of the apparatus that's sticking in the water. This is where the current comes through and down into the water. A lot of people ask us what kind of range this thing has, and it really depends on the conductivity of the water. Certain lakes are more conducive, and you get a better range as far as the field the electric current sent out. So. And we're ready to go.
All right, let's go shooting.
All righty.
Or should I say fishing?
Fishing. just going along the bank. There's a lot of brush in the water, not visible, and picking up species of largemouth, smallmouth, and crappie. We'll get a few in live well, we'll work them up. Nice one. What Gerald's looking for is species that we're interested in, mainly the bass and crappie. Other fish, just let them pass on by. They'll recover on their own. I don't.
You spoiled me, boy.
It'll do that to you. Well, it'll pretty well, like I said, depending on the conductivity of the water. If I stick my hand back in the water back here, it'll zap me.
Oh, no.
You'll get a tingle.
Just a tingle, huh?
Yeah.
Is that all it takes to shock up the bass?
Well, we're using a 230-volt generator, and I can't tell you how much voltage is actually going in the water. But
right.
Get enough you won't want to leave your hand in the water long.
Gerald, you have to have a good eye for this, don't you?
Yeah, you sure do, Pete. You have to look real close sometime.
I love it, I love it, I love it, I love it. home, huh, Gerald?
No, sir, no, try this at home.
Yeah. Woo, there's a nice one.
Try to do is shock for a 15-minute period, and then we'll stop, work up the fish, release them, then go to another area. This box has got several safety features on it. You look, this is the pulsator box I was talking about. It's got 4 different switches on it, safety switches, along with this one on the dash. The only way this thing can be powered is by this foot switch. I'm operating the foot switch, so if anything goes wrong out front, all I've got to do is release that power, and it'll cut the electricity from going in the water right there. You can hear it draw down. So it's got several safety features and cutoff switches on it just to protect us mainly. Up the tree. That? Yeah, common carp.
All too common on my rod and reel.
Mine too. We were down here last year, I believe it was in October, doing our WR sampling, and there were several people coming in with 20, 30 crappies, nice sized crappie last year. So,
But not today.
not today. Gerald? Let me get around. Carp. Alrighty.
Brian, I'm shocked and appalled. A lot of carp in that hole.
Yep. You know, sometimes these treetops hold 10, 15 of them. You never know what you're going to get when you go into one. Pull over here out of the wind a little bit, and we'll go ahead and work these fish up.
All right.
Got a couple through crappie.
Bass plenty.
Okay.
Well, folks, this is what we're talking about, shocking fish. Now that's a nice bass, Brian.
I'd like to have him, yeah.
Now what are we going to do with this fish?
Okay, we're going to take a length and a weight on him, and we'll take scale samples, and we can take it back to the lab. We have a fellow in Nashville that reads all the scales. He can determine how old that fish is.
Just from the scale?
From the scale, yeah.
Boy, I tell you what, you know, folks, these fish aren't the only thing that's getting stunned today. I am stunned at watching this thing work. Well, we'll let you guys get back to work.
All right. All right, we're going to start taking lengths and weights on these fish. I'll be giving the information out, and Gerald will record. 16.5, 2.2. He'll record that, and then we take off the left side just a few scales. Like I said, these can be used to determine the age of the fish. And those scale envelopes will be marked with the length and the weight and the date and the area of the lake it was taken. And then he's ready to go home. And we'll turn him loose.
It was a nice visiting with you.
We'll use these lengths and weights. We'll take the lengths back and work up on the computer. We'll do a length frequency distribution, and it gives us an idea of the size class of the population according to our sampling. Of course, we use other information like creel samples, actual harvest data, and other sampling techniques as a whole to determine our regulations and changes that we might want to make in the regulations from year to year.
Well, Brian, about 3 years ago, they put a size limit on Tim's Ford, and that's where we are on Tim's Ford.
That's correct.
And we put in at Rock Creek. Can you describe for us how that size limit restriction has approved or affected the lake?
Well, it seems to have made a big difference. Back, I think the limit was imposed in 91, or in 90, and that year our sampling rate for the whole lake was like 100 largemouth per hour, and then in 91 it jumped to 200 per hour. And from what we've already done the lower end, and of course we're working here now, and it seems to be going to be up 180, maybe 200 per hour again this year. So fishermen may not be able to take as many home because of the 15-inch limit, but on the whole, I think they'll be able to catch more fish. The few fishermen I've talked to seem to be catching more fish than they have been, a couple of years ago. So hopefully it'll help the things in the next few years. So. All right, 15.4, 1.95. Yeah, get the big boy out of here.
Where do you think you'll go?
Oh, you put me on the spot now.
You're the man with the experience.
4 pounds.
Let's say 5'2", 21 inch.
Ooh.
Well, I was off by 2/10.
Oh, not bad.
5 pounds.
Not bad.
Yeah, they've got a formula where they can take these scales, and it's just like rings on a tree. They can determine the age of the fish, and like that fish, if they determine him to be 5 years old, they can take measurements off the scale and give you a rough estimate of how long that fish was at age 4, age 3, age 2, and all the way back to when he was a youngin'. So 14.5. 1.45.
That's the kind I always catch out of this lake. Almost a keeper. But I even like to let the keepers go,
They're all a lot of fun to catch. $16.8.
Do you ever shock up any rockfish?
2.5. Yeah, occasionally. Most of them are, up in this area generally, because on the lower end it's so deep. We just, they're usually tend to stay out where we can't get to them. So, but we've stocked up in Rock Creek and down around the Bass Club on some of the flats around there when they've been up feeding on shad and things. So. $14.9, 1.65. Oh, calm down, calm down.
Well, Brian, where are you from?
I grew up in Tullahoma. I'm living in Murfreesboro now. So. 15.6, 1.6.
Been in Tennessee all your life?
Yes, sure have.
And we had the pleasure of meeting a couple of years ago.
That's true. Yeah, your farm overseas allowed me to deer hunt on a couple of years ago.
Well, I'd like to invite you back.
Well, I appreciate it. Pretty place down there.
You spent a couple of cold nights in a bus on the property.
Yeah, yeah.
We call that the Giles County Hilton.
There you go. Rightly named. 14 even, 1.25.
So you take scales off of every single fish you shock in?
No, we generally try to take anywhere from a minimum of 5 to a maximum of 15 fish per inch class. So 8-inch fish, we take 5 to 15. You know, if we get a bunch of them, we'll stop at 15 fish for each inch class. So if we took them off of every fish we had all across the state, the fellow that reads the scales wouldn't have a chance. So they limit it, you know, to a maximum of about 15 per inch class. So 14.8, 1.6. Need that one?
No, nothing.
Okay, there's another one. We got a lot of scale samples on the lower end, so.
Well, Gerald, where are you from?
Mount Juliet, Tennessee.
All right. So how do you get lucky enough to come down here to Tim's Ford?
I don't know that.
Yeah, 14, 1.2.
Well, it's about 45 degrees out.
14 even, 1.2.
Oh, okay.
And it's a windy day, and what can you tell fishermen, Brian, about theories of structure and how weather might affect? You get instant feedback from that chopper.
Yeah, my samples are awful biased. I don't do a whole lot of fishing myself other than with this rig, so, you know, a man that's out here fishing with a rod and reel can probably tell you more about that than I can. So.
Well, what about just structure and location? Do you find that certain structures give you more fish?
Yeah, it tends to. It just, like I said, depends on time of year and things like that too. You know, like on the lower end, we were getting a lot more fish than we are today, and I think it's mainly because of this cool weather that came in and made us set the fish a little deeper. 14.2, 1.4. But I may go fishing once or twice a year myself, so.
Well, would it be fair to say that you guys got a little spoiled?
Yeah.
Throw my rod and reel down. I hung them up, put them in mothballs.
13.7, 1.1.
I'm having a ball, I'm telling you.
Need that one?
No. Okay. No more 13 or 14.
All right.
So you have kind of a quota of them there, Gerald.
Yeah, I've got scale samples off the lower end. When we reach that inch class, we don't get any more scale samples off of them. So it's kind of keeping two papers going at once.
12.7, 0.95.
Yeah, I need scales. I need one on 15.
All right. Yeah, I'm going to get a net. 14.5, 1.4.
Brian, would you say you shock up more fish out of brush or off of rocky points, or?
Mostly out of the brush, treetops. You know, they're structure oriented, but there are certain banks, you know, we go down, I'm sure there's a lot of brush on the bottom or stumps that, you know, we can't see. And we do well on some just shocking down the bank, so 8.8.
I was thinking last night.
0.35.
I was thinking last night before you about what would happen today, and I thought for sure you all would use a depth finder, but you don't seem to need one, do you?
No, and you know, if it gets below a certain depth, we're not going to be able to reach them anyway. So we're mainly pretty well stuck with just working the banks with this rig.
What is that depth?
Well, we've got 6-foot probes, and about 2 foot of it are out of the water. So we've got about 4 foot in the water, and then the field seems to run in a sort of a semicircle off the bottom of the probe. So, you know, we may get down possibly 10, 15 feet, but that depends on the conductivity of the certain lake that we're on too. So. $14.2, 1.3. We generally try to get about 200 largemouth off each lake every year. 10 even, 0.4. And we don't necessarily take scales. We'll alternate usually, you know, 1 or 2 lakes a year getting scale samples for age and growth. So we're doing largemouth, and mainly this year, a couple of years we'll really get into smallmouth, and we'll take scale samples off of, you know, a big bunch of smallmouth. But generally we don't shock a whole lot of smallmouth on this lake. They usually tend to stay down a little deeper, and we don't get as many as we do on the largemouth.
Now I heard about a year and a half ago of a shocking outing y'all had where you got tons of shad in a cove.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
You spent days counting them.
Yeah, that was one of our cove roten on samples. Yeah. I think we ended up with like 44,000 thread pins. So,
oh, no.
In about an acre and a half. So.
Well, what did it smell like on that 3rd day counting?
I'd rather not talk about it. 12.6, 0.8. Yeah, we do a couple of cove roten owns every year. We alternate them on a 3-year cycle too, so we're only on Tims once every 3 or 4 years. So, and we'll usually do one in the upper and one in the lower, and they range, like I said, from an acre to acre and a half. And
well, folks, you're lucky to be witnessing this. Then this is a rare thing, and we're certainly glad that the viewers at home are being able to watch this. This is the 50-cent tour, and we're shocking fish with some great fellas today out here from the TWRA, the Tennessee Wildlife Resource Agency.
15.3, 175. This one's ready to go back. He said he's had all this he wants.
He's thinking how revolting.
Yeah. He didn't waste any time leaving. $10.5, 0.55. Need him?
Yeah. You think we might ought to remind the folks that they really shouldn't try this at home?
No. There's some people who've gotten in a little bit of danger trying to operate one of these rigs that they've built themselves. 12.4. Not to mention it's not legal except for us, so 0.85. No.
And they keep coming.
Yeah. 13.2. 1.1. 1-1. Don't need him to. And that's all but crappie and smallmouth.
Now you got a couple of crappie there, Brian. Now how do you tell the difference between a black crappie and a white crappie?
Okay, there's a little bit of size variation here, but the main thing to look at, or what we look at, is the number of spines on this dorsal fin. These sharp spines here. On the white crappie, there'll be 6. On the black crappie, it'll be 7 or 8. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, sometimes 8. But the way I look at them is you can tell the distance from the front of this dorsal fin here to the nose is relatively short. And on the white crappie, it's longer. This is a smaller fish, but you've got almost the same length from the front of that dorsal fin to the nose on this smaller white crappie as you do on that black crappie.
Wow, that's fascinating.
So,
thanks for the crappie lesson.
A lot of people go by the dark coloration, and that doesn't get it, because that fish is, you know, real dark, but that's a white crappie. Okay, this white is 8-1.35.
Just a youngin'.
All right, now we got a couple of smallmouth here. They're really pretty fish. Coming off those rocks.
Hold that up, let folks see that. Oh boy, that is a beautiful fish. Wow.
Okay, he's 12.7.95.
What number he is, Brian? Hold on, I have to go back and go through it.
Man, let me give you these scales here.
Okay.
We got about 25, 26 largemouth that 15 minutes, so it's not too bad.
Are you kidding? That's great.
We always like to do it better, best we can, you know.
Well, you're doing a fine job today.
like he's looking for some handouts, doesn't it?
We'll do back here, Gerald.
I hope we do pretty good back here. We did last year when we was doing our fall shocking. We done real good up here. Hope we do good again today. If you listen to the engine or the generator, you can tell when he's getting ready to shock. Hear that sound on it?
Kind of dips down.
Yeah, it does. And then that's when I get ready for all the action.
So you know without being told.
Yes, sir, I know when I get ready to.
Do you find that shocking works better in the morning, or does it matter?
It doesn't really matter when you do it. A lot of times we'll come up here because the water gets so clear, we'll have to do it at night, and we can do real good at night. But during the day, it doesn't make any difference. busier sometimes.
Holy cow! Crappie and bass galore. All sizes and shapes. He's got a net full this time. Wow! This is the only way to go. Well, that's a ton of fish, Brian.
Yes, it is. Did real well this time.
Sure did.
Largemouth, 15.4, 1.6.
Nope. Now, Brian, explain where we are now.
Okay, we're out off Highway 130 near the Bass Club.
All right. We moved up and we're on a different day now, and boy, the shocking's going a little more fast and furious today.
Yeah, a little bit. This is one of our normal areas. We try to do 3 sections of lake, so this is our middle, what we call our middle portion.
All right.
14.5.
Nope.
1.35.
Were you satisfied with the shocking that we did back around Rock Creek?
Well, as far as our shocking rate the previous year, it's still ahead of it, but it was a little bit less than what I expected. I think it was mainly due to the weather.
Right.
It's picked up a little bit today, so 13.5.
You know, old Gerald's worked up a sweat.
I got hot up there today.
1.15. Two, 3.
Little bigger scales there.
Yeah. You can see those.
That's a handsome fish. Oh yeah, great. There's even bigger ones in there than that too.
Yeah, that's true. Go ahead and do one of them right now.
Wow.
Come here. Uh, 20 inches even. Oh, calm down, calm down. 3.95.
I can only dream of fish like that.
Alrighty. Back you go, fella. He didn't waste any time, did he?
No. He'll be
13.7. 1.2. Need him? 16.8.
Yeah.
2.3. He's got an extension on his ray there. Got several crappie.
Some nice crappie.
12.5, 0.9, 15.1, 1.6.
Just barely a keeper there.
Yep.
No.
Several little one fish, 6-7 inches long.
That's the future of the sport.
That's right. 6.3. Like to see those. 0.1.
Yep.
Because of the 15-inch limit put on the bass fishing here on Tim's Ford, what do you think the future of the bass fishing is going to be in a couple of years, Brian?
It ought to just get better. So now we've seen a lot more fish. Like I said, they may not be able to take as many home the first couple of years, but I think the number of fish that they'll catch will be increasing. So 8.1, 0.2.
Now that is a crappie.
Pretty, isn't he?
Wow. Oh, I'm curious to how much this one will go. Wow.
I can go ahead and measure him right quick. 13.8.
Nice.
Whoa. 1.55.
There's a tournament winner right there.
And he's still in here. There he goes. Get some of these other ones, Gerald.
What we can get.
Crappie.
Now we got quite a few more crappie this time around.
Another pretty one.
Wow.
Come on, hold still. It's 13.4. 1.3.
Wow.
Not bad, over a pound.
Not bad at all. A double fistful.
Yeah.
Big boy.
Oh, golly. Oh, he slapped me good then. About 37 inches.
Wow.
$21.15.
21.15. Now that's a big cat.
Yeah, get him go. There he went. He was ready. That's pretty neat.
Wow, that sure was. Biggest fish of the trip.
Sure was.
Brian, give me your best goose imitation. Go ahead.
I can't do it on the fish.
Sure you can.
That's all.
That's darn good, ain't it? We sure appreciate you joining us for this 50-cent tour. I guess we'll call this a fish shocker.
Yep. That's about the best term for it.
We sure had fun, and I appreciate you inviting
You're welcome.
me.
Glad you came.
This is Brian James and the man behind the camera, Mr. Gerald Bryson. We want to thank you both for inviting us out here. Now, one thing that I found really amazing, every fish that you shocked up survived.
That's true.
Every single one.
We very seldom have one, you know, that is harmed in any way that we know of. So
Another good thing is we're starting to see more crappie.
that's right.
And one of the things I've learned in 2 days of shocking with you guys, I guess I'm going to talk to the fishermen right now, is that mostly we've been shocking up largemouth bass.
Mm-hmm.
And now why is that?
The smallmouths seem to stay out a little deeper than the largemouth. We know they're in here. The fishermen catch them. You know, we see that from our creel, but it just seems like they stay a little deeper than what we can get normally. So we mainly work the banks and the edges of the lake. So And largemouth are generally up, you know, in shallower water. So.
And we caught quite a few more crappie today too.
Yeah.
All right, well folks, we thank you for joining us, and we've had a ball here, and I look forward to our next adventure with the TWRA.
Same here. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
All right.
That's going to wrap it up for this edition, the shocking edition of the 50-cent tour.
Ah!